Nice.
Welcome, one and all, to the one and only PPC Unfiltered podcast. Michael Nadalin is my co-host. He's somewhere on the screen. Michael, how's it going, man?
Mate, I'm great. We've been chatting for 15 minutes and I'm feeling the positive vibe. So,
All right.
mate, I'm
Good
feeling
stuff.
it. How are you feeling? More importantly, Cory, how are you feeling, mate? That's the most important
I
thing.
am
Everyone
very
needs to know.
good. I'm very good. I appreciate you asking. We are now in February to timestamp this episode. And it's been a busy start of the year, as always, but, it's a journey and always new challenges is what I'm looking forward to. So I got a lot of fun stuff going on. Again, can't divulge all of the secrets just yet, but they are coming
Come
real
on,
soon.
mate. We're
Michael, what's
hungry.
new
We're
in your world?
starving. Tell
What's new in
us.
your world?
Tell us. Oh, look, we're in, as you know, even though we're on different sides of the world and only one day apart, we are in mid-February as well, or near the end of February. So I know the pains. Yeah, it's been super busy outside. Like January was quite quiet in terms of clients. Once I think I said that last week, clients being away, but we're still advertising now that they're coming
Mhm.
back. A lot more meetings, a lot new clients launching campaigns, launching new accounts. It is fun. It is wild,
Yeah.
and it's exciting because there is a massive shift. I still think there's even a bigger shift happening in advertising now more than ever. And yeah, I just think even we can talk about that today, even with our first subject. But
I
was
would
there
love
anything
to.
else you wanted to talk about
No, I
before
was gonna
we
say let's
discuss
jump
this
into
other?
that. That actually sounds really interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to dig into that. So, what's on your mind? What makes you think that?
Okay, so I've been very fortunate running an ad agency that people want to work with me and my agency because, over time you build reputation, you get a lot of clients, they refer you people because you do good work. So, and over time as well, with that, you tend to get better and better and better clients or even better types of businesses that are more aligned with you. So, because of the nature of the clients that we work with now, when you start off, you're starting to work with like small e-commerce businesses, things that are a bit harder, like random service-based businesses. But as I've noticed more and more recently, especially in the last 2 weeks, we've launched a few clients, new businesses. Conversion rate's extremely high. Cost per lead's really low. Really high, like the industries and niches that we're working with are just so high revenue that I've recognized that if you're an advertiser, if you're working with the right type of clients, your job can be so simple and easy. It's hard to get to that simple, easy point, but
Yeah, of course.
knowing the type of clients you want to work with, the industries, the arbitrage that you can make on the market, especially in terms of like market forces being like, this is a really good industry and their competitors are not digitally savvy, knowing beyond just the Google Ads account or the Facebook Ads account, knowing CRO, landing pages, data as you and I do. Like, once again, people see you and I as Google Ads people. The reality is we're not, we're data people. But we're data people with Google Ads, but we're also data with other things. Like when you're doing your data analysis, you're not just doing data analysis on Google Ads, you're doing it on stock levels, market forces, other things like that. So it, yeah, it's really, it's hard to put to words. It's just like it gets easier as time goes on, even though the
Hmm.
market feels like the cost per click's getting more expensive. There are a lot of competitive factors. But when I look on LinkedIn and I see what people are talking about, I'm like, bro, you're either working with really bad clients and businesses, or if it's someone who runs a business complaining about it, I'm like, change your business. Like you're like, if it's not working, it's not working. Or just like the stuff just doesn't work. And I'm just noticing now, like advertising is deadly simple. Like it's ridiculously simple. There's probably like a few things you need to do, but like 99 million things you don't need to do as well. And I think trying to know that difference makes the big difference. So even recently, like this week, is we're talking just before this call about launching new accounts and then setting expectations because people go, how long does it take to get results? So I'll ask you, Cory, when someone asks you, how long does it take to get results? What do you say? And
Well,
more about what do you say, but more importantly, what do you think internally that you don't tell them?
um, Well, I think that's it's always good to have the context there. So if it's a brand, you're like saying a brand new. I don't have any data to look at. People are just
Yeah,
kind of roughly saying on prospecting call, asking how long until we get results. Things are not
yeah.
great, or we haven't started yet. That kind of thing.
Well, yeah, that's definitely it because now when I think about it, it's kind of like a bit of a matrix of is it a new account or an established account?
Yep.
Is it new in e-commerce or established in e-commerce? Is it new lead generation? Is it old in lead generation? Like, do you have data? Do you not have data? But
Yeah.
even from that, what would your gut feeling after all like your level of experience? When would you say people start getting either conversions or sales? What would you tell
Yes.
them? And then what would you intuitively go, this is what I think?
Yeah. So don't take this as a clear heuristic, and everyone's always going to. This is always going to be the case, of course, because like we just said, there's going to be a lot of variables that are involved here, whether you have benchmarking data or not. But usually, the kind of sort of default answer is somewhere between 2 to 6 weeks. I think is pretty fair, depending on what we're doing. So
Yeah.
again, there's going to be a lot of nuance to that. Some cases might take longer. Some cases might be shorter. There is an element. Marketers may not want to believe this, but there is an element of luck. It's not always going to be the things that you're doing in the account. There are going to be market forces that impact performance for a business, and that's not always something you can control just by
Yeah.
setting a bid a certain way. Now, that doesn't mean it's all luck or mostly luck. Just know that there's always going to be an element of luck and also bad luck, right? So there could always
Yeah.
be you do everything right, and sometimes someone comes in, competitor swoops in, decides to sell it for 20, 30% lower. Maybe they're willing to compromise on margins because of that. But regardless, things are going to happen external to what you're doing. That always needs to be taken into account. So when you're given these expectations for yourself, if you're doing the account management, or if you're giving it to a client who you're managing the account or doing consulting for, I think it's always fair to always have those disclaimers in there. When you're talking anything statistics, it's going to be disclaimers. It's going to be the
Yeah.
past doesn't always predict the future. There's going to be external forces, etc. Very important to always keep that in mind.
Mate, you sound like a pharmaceutical ad on American TV.
How
So,
so?
yeah, with all the disclaimers.
Oh,
So, it's actually an important thing to even note on that because I forget that some these clients have good and solid budgets. Budget is an important factor. So, beforehand, you've got to understand what's the approximate cost per click or CPM if it's Facebook on what you're going after. What do you think is a reasonable, like a conservative conversion rate? And then what the budget is. Because if you go, we've got a $1,000 budget, the cost per click is $10. Therefore, you're only going to get 100 clicks. That's correct, yeah. And sometimes when it's too simple, I'm like, all right, make sure you say the right
just
numbers.
double check.
100
Yeah.
clicks. But then if your conversion rate's 1%, you're only going to get one conversion versus the conversion rate's at 5%, you'll get 5 conversions. So even just knowing your budget, the average cost per click you can probably estimate before you work with a client, regardless of the industry. The approximate conversion rate, you can do that conservatively. For example, if it's lead generation going to a landing page, 5%. Lead generation going to a website, 2%. Google Ads going to an e-commerce website, 1.5%, maybe 1%, like playing real conservative. And with those numbers, you can start to reverse engineer based on a budget,
Yep.
how many leads you can get. But in terms of the
Exactly.
time frame, that will actually influence the time frame because the more data you get earlier on, the faster the learning window is. Yeah, there's an intuitive knowing to this. Don't you reckon, Corey? Like you just like, even though you're like, there's no heuristic to this, and like, don't take my word for it, but you kind of have this knowing. Like you kind of have a feeling deep down. Like for me, I'm like, if I don't see results in the first week, this is done. That's my approach. Because I'm
First
just like
week, huh?
in my yeah, dude, my head, I'm
You
just
give
like
up that quick, huh?
I'm like, I set it up perfect. I've got the right strategies. I've been doing this for like, and it's also just recognizing that every agency or specialist you work with, they have their own flair and their own way. Like I have a very specific way I do it that works for like 95% of the businesses I work with and makes them a bunch of money. So if a business falls in that 5% of it not working, I'm just like, they're not the right fit for us. because I'm used to winning
Because I
things.
couldn't make it work. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
it's like your business sucks because I couldn't make it work.
Yeah, it's not my fault. It's your fault.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's also that's an important thing as well. It's like you've got to know what works for you and making most of your clients work. But if it's not working, you've also got to admit just to go, I'm probably not the right person for this. Because if you're starting to go down different rabbit holes to solve one issue for one client when you've got all these other clients, it actually kind of tips the seesaw away from like the majority of your clients and serving them. And that's one way of putting it. And it's the same way as like if you have, let's just say you've got 9 clients or 10 clients, 9 of them are just great, really nice people, you're doing great work, and one's just complaining all the time. You naturally will spend more time on the complaining client. And it's the same with like if you're serving clients that you know you're not getting results for, you're actually like disservicing your own agency because you might be trying to service someone whose business you just never will be able to help. You can't help, or the business is unhelpable. And yeah, that's just my
I,
opinion.
I was just thinking real fast that that does happen, right? Where these agencies that I talk to, because they come to me for help because they just signed a really big account that has tons of data points.
Yeah.
There's high expectations because of the amount of spends, the amount of risk that the business is taking, and they're used to working with professionals. And not that the agency is unprofessional, but they do not have the systems in place to manage or plan or work with a client like that.
Yeah.
And so they come to me for the tips. But to your point, I almost think, why did you even take this client? Oh, right, because the money, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's what happens if you get lucky and then all of a sudden they start referring you a bunch of other big businesses that
Yeah.
you can't handle? Eventually, the luck's going to run out. And
Yeah.
I think that is a good point. Sometimes it's not in the best interest to take these huge clients if you don't really have experience with it. I mean, you have to start somewhere, but if you don't really have the systems in place, you don't have a data scientist on hand, you're going to really struggle
Yeah.
to do well and to meet some of those high expectations.
I controversial opinion. I just think you should work on clients and businesses you find easy. Like because what you find easy or you enjoy doing, someone else hates doing it. It's hard for them. Like it's not like you everyone's going up the same path to some same level. Like there are millions of paths, and if you work with clients that you find easy and like easy means you're delivering results and you enjoy working with them, you're going to be referred other businesses similar to them. Isn't that what you want rather than trying to like grind your way on an account, micro analyzing cost per click bids on an industry or a product you just genuinely don't care about and you feel bad about working with that client? Why would you do that? Because then they're going to refer you other businesses like them. Like everyone's version of easy and what they enjoy is different. The same as the
Mm-hmm.
taste in music, the same taste
Yep.
in movies, the same with food. Like it happens with clients as well. It's everyone thinks that like the holy grail is big enterprise clients who pay you a lot of money. It's not. The enterprise, like the goal at the end of the day is making a lot of money doing work that's easy for you and you enjoy. That's why for me, when I'm talking to you, I talk about certain types of e-commerce and like lead generation where we do the landing page as well, because even though it actually requires more work on the front end, I find it so fulfilling. So for example, we launched an account yesterday for a property developer in Australia. They're selling apartments from $1.327 million. We're doing the Google ads, Facebook ads, and landing page. Within the first 5 minutes of running the campaign, we got our first lead. Comes through, I see the lead, all their information, their budgets, all these things. Since last night or yesterday, we've had 8 leads for $5 a lead, 13% conversion rate. Like people are saying they've got, $2 million to inspect. Like this gets me juicy. But it's easy for me because I've done it so many times and I enjoy it. So many other people would not be able to do this because, firstly, they're like, oh, I don't do Google ads. I don't do Facebook ads. I don't know how to do landing pages. I don't know how to do the integrations or the CRM setups and that stuff. And it's like, cool, you don't need to. Like, you actually don't need to, but like, don't try to like play Michael Nadalin's game or Cory's game. Like, you got to find your own path and what you find enjoyable. Like I like making clients millions of dollars. That's just my thing with lead generation. I love it. I want to make clients millions of dollars. I don't want to make them an extra 10K a month or an extra 100K a year. I'm like here to like make a huge impact. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
care about. That's what I enjoy. But
Yeah.
me, like when I get like a small e-commerce business and they might be showing me their website, I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's not that I don't care about them. It's just like, this isn't my path in life. Like, I'm not here
Sure.
to like fix small businesses. I'm here to like make big impact. So
Well, yeah, I think it's a valid sentiment for any agency or any marketer, freelance or whatever, to want to go down that path, to look for the easy wins. I think that's pretty normal for the most part, right? Especially if it's going to make you a good amount of money, and you see the value in being able to share data points across one particular industry. There is value in doing that. I wonder, on my little soapbox here,
here we go.
about
Here
Mark.
we go. I'm going to be
Yeah,
roasted.
no. This is an industry, just a thought process through the industry here. So, in the paid search space in particular, or Facebook's a little bit. I mean, it's such a wider. There's a lot more there, but let's say in the paid search space, a little more niche. In terms of market saturation, right? Over time, as technology gets better and being able to optimize things and being able to do data analysis, et cetera, how many of these agencies that prioritize the simpler accounts or the smaller accounts, market saturation problem, right? Eventually, there's not going to be, I mean, there's always more fish, quote unquote, in the sea in terms of new businesses popping up that may not recognize a good from a bad agency, or they're not starting with much data to work with. But I do wonder about that. Like, over time, as the market gets more saturated with people who want to chase the smaller, call them, quote unquote, easy, maybe simpler accounts, what that does, right? Because I think eventually it's gonna create a lot of demand, or more demand, for people with the skill sets that can handle very large data sets. And obviously, the other interesting thing here is, if you're successful at growing a smaller account that begins very simply, eventually you'll have more data. And then if you can't manage that data, you've essentially moved yourself out of you've actually replaced yourself eventually with someone else who can do it by actually succeeding in your job and growing the account. So just a couple soapbox inputs there.
Yeah. I still like, I don't, this is in terms of that market saturation. I don't know if there's any clients that everyone's like, I always want these type of clients. Like, there's a sentiment in the market. Like, I never speak to people where everyone's like, oh, we only want to work with these types of industries. Like, I could say to you, me, and like 30 other specialists, and we're all like, yeah, we all agree we want to work with this one type of industry.
There's definitely ones we don't want to work
with. Yeah. Well, we don't. People who start their journey go, yeah, this is a sick industry. And you're like, bro, have you ever even run ads for it? It's like, it's so easy. Just like, for example, accounting. It's like, yeah, you just like put like accounting plus the city you're in, and people will submit things. It's like, yeah, you can do that, but show me the conversions you get. Like, you just know that if someone says they like working with an industry, they're fresh, because you're like, you haven't worked with that industry long enough to know that like you just lose, like, no matter what. Like, yeah, I love doing like e-commerce for like supplement companies. And he's like, bro, have you ever done that before? It's like, yeah, like one, and it went really well, and we're spending like $100 a day, and we'd get like a 4x rise. And like, dude, that's not impressive. Like, people have like these confirmation biases as well, where they work with one type of business in one industry.
Yeah.
They luck out, and then they start like going down that road, which is just like the path to hell. That's the worst thing. The worst thing is actually working on an industry that's notoriously hard, getting a quick win, and then going down that road for the rest of your career. And you're like, well, what's wrong with me? It's like, no, it's not wrong with you. It's the industry. Like, it's just so fascinating. Yeah, I think it's just looping back to that, what's simple and easy. I think it's actually different for different people. Like, there would be things that we're doing at MarketLead that you'd be like, bro, fuck, like, wow, I can get why it's simple, but I don't want to, I just don't have the capacity to want to do that. And similar, vice versa with you and me, me to you, is I think everyone's easy, and what they enjoy is very different. I don't think it's universally easy or universally hard. It's just dependent on you, what you're passionate about, and what you're good at as a skill set.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was just going to say. Is I don't want to diminish people's interest in pursuing tougher accounts, because someone needs to do them, and you might be that type of person.
Not us.
I'm more interested in difficult, challenging, large accounts personally, and because I can't stand. And this is to those people that are thinking about it, because you might already be feeling it. There's a certain monotony to it. It's almost too simple. It's a little bit too easy, where your day to day becomes very repetitious and feels a little bit too corporatized. And
Mm.
you want something more different. You want something more difficult, challenging. So if that's you, it's not going to be everybody, but if that's you, don't feel like you shouldn't do it just because Michael talks about how great it is to do the simpler accounts. There's definitely a lot of value and a lot of money to be made by being the one that is going after the big fish that have a lot of difficult things. Make it worth your while, though, right? So I just want to caveat that there's going to be
Yeah.
some very difficult accounts that are difficult, not because of the data complexity or the goals, but because there's unrealistic expectations. There's the marketplace is what it is. It's more challenging than the product or the service can support. Things like that. So just kind of know what you're getting into.
And
But
you
yeah,
take the
I don't want to discourage
responsibility
people.
of trying to save a business
Yeah, that's
when
very
you're
true.
just an ads person just
Mm-hmm.
working on the ads. And then you start
Yeah.
getting called into meetings about stuff not about ads. And then your time. And that's the reason why complex accounts are hard. It's not actually the work that's just like very linear. It's all the stuff that goes on the side, the high volume of emails, getting pulled into meetings, having
Yeah.
discussions about other traffic sources or what they're doing internally, the time requirements. The time is the only asset you'll never get back. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to go, am I really willing to give away the most important asset that will ever exist in my life for this business that may not be around in 6 months' time because of their poor cash flow, regardless of how much they pay you?
Yeah.
And you've got to decide what season you're in as a freelancer or a specialist or even in business to go, am I willing to take this on am I doing it for money? Am I doing it for experience? Or am I doing it because I genuinely know I can make an impact? Now,
Yeah.
for me right now, I value my time extremely high. And I'm not like, whilst I can usually fix businesses, like even fix businesses, not even just accounts, in a very short period of time, I'm very selective with it because I'm like, I'm giving my I need to know there's a high probability that we're going to succeed because I don't want to be spending 6 to 12 months having the same conversations with an external team or like a company where they're not doing what they need to do and they're constantly complaining to me about their business. But I'm like, I'm doing my part and you're not doing yours. Like I
Right.
can't. This is not like I'll do my part if you keep up to speed with what I'm asking you to do. And I think that's really important because we can probably loop into that because I was having a few conversations about this. Let me just note down the time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is I've had a look at a lot of for some reason, anytime I release a YouTube video, I just get a flood of new business leads. Well, that's not really. It's like it's pretty clear cause and effect. And I look at some of these ad accounts, and there's dog's breakfast. But I look at the websites as well, and they're just like, they think the websites are good. And I'm like, you need to fix your website as well. Like, I even go, we can work with you, but I'm not going to work with you until you fix your website, your conversion rate optimization, because no matter what work I do, no matter how good it is, it's not going to work on that website. I just know from 10 years of experience. So I think that's an important thing as we can just shift away from that, Corey, is how do you navigate? Do you ever have to navigate with people or clients or prospects about talking about their website and CRO?
Yeah, of
Or
course.
like, yeah,
Yeah, if I'm not having that conversation, I'm not really doing my job, and I'm not
well, that's
the
it.
guy that's implementing the changes on the site. Usually, the businesses that I work with have a development team, so that's
Yeah.
something or an agency or whatever that they work with on that. But I always just I have that conversation. I'm always thinking, and I'll mention this to people as well in some cases, that the marketing that you're doing is a supplement to your site, right? It's a supplement to the store. The marketing is not the business, right? That is a part of the business. It is a branch of what's going to make it successful. I think sometimes clients or businesses can get really neurotic about Google ads or Facebook ads or YouTube because they're really excited about some new thing or they saw some new hack or a business partner of them mention how successful they've been in using that channel, that platform. This happens a lot with TikTok and stuff like that, right? The social ads, they get all excited about it. They haven't had any personal success with it, but they've heard good
Yeah.
things, so they hear. But the ads are the supplement to the site. It's not the thing to focus on. The thing to always be prioritizing is the site because that's your salesperson on the internet, right? That is the
Yeah.
person that's closing the deal. The marketer that billboard can bring the right people in, but if they're not closing the deal, what was the point of spending all that money on creating
Yeah.
awareness?
I've always seen it as this. It's your website is like a shop. no shit, but like a physical shop. And your competitors are doing the same shop, but next door to each other. So you've got your shop, which you could be selling TVs, and then you've got the biggest competitor next door selling TVs. So that could be the search ads. Our goal as advertisers is to go, hey, these people seem like the right people walking past the shop. Let's get them into the shop, like at all costs. Not
At a
all
good
costs,
price.
but the appropriate cost.
Yeah.
Like go,
Yeah.
hey, Bob, you should come into the shop. I know you're looking for a TV and you're kind of looking for all these things. So you're making sure that they go into your shop, not the shop next door. But it's also not trying to get people into the shop who are not relevant. People like looking for, if you're selling TVs, that they're looking for a blender. It's like, we don't want that. So that's like the quality of the traffic. But we are not, we're just the people standing outside trying to filter the right people into the shop. We don't go into the shop. We're not selling in the shop. So if your shop's like a beautiful shop, like, I don't know, like a really stunning shop, it's going to be easier to sell than like a shop that like everything's in boxes in the back corner. It's all dimly lit. Most websites are almost like a cheap $2 shop. That it's like, you know, the stuff's in there. You don't know where to find it.
Yeah.
The person's at the front counter. You kind of feel like, fuck it, if I ask them, they're going to be angry at me for trying to buy something from them.
Yeah.
Versus when you go to a nicer high-end shop where they're like, come in, do you need help? Here are our top ranges. If you need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
And I see this a lot. I've got this amazing checklist that I have, especially for e-commerce clients. And we just go through it. And the same with lead generation clients. And 80% of them are just not doing the fundamental things. And they think they're doing the right things because they've done it themselves. But it's like, you're not the industry experts. You're not working with 20 or 30 other clients right now like I am. Like, how do you think you know more than me? And also just even something simple as putting the website into ChatGPT and going, where are the conversion rate optimization fixes that could be done in here? It will show you so many things. But I think there's a big sentiment that like so many people think like you can fix their business or their website's poor performance just with ads. And it's like, no, you can get higher quality people that will come through that will naturally increase the sales, like the sales or the leads or whatever. But it's not going to still fix the fundamental problem of a bad website or a bad shop or a bad sales process or a bad business. Like, what do you do? Because you work with a lot of e-commerce businesses. Like, it's stock standard that their website's probably not as good as they think it is or it should be. Like, what do you do in that case? Or do you ever get pushback and stuff like that?
Well, you know, it's funny. I was thinking sometimes you run into this issue where the business has been doing so well because it's very bottom of the funnel based. People know what they want right away. They're typing in SKUs, whatever it is. And so that the business really deprioritizes. They're like, yeah, we know we could do it better, but hey, it's working and you don't fix it if it ain't broken, right? And it's like, but imagine if you could spend the same amount to get 20% more, would you do it? Right now, obviously there's investment costs that have to be considered there, and the total ROI for SEO and conversion rate optimization are going to add up, but you still need to consider that, because I think a lot of times they get stuck in these cycles of like, well, Google ads or whatever channel brings us all the business. It's already doing well. We've kind of had it this way. It works. You know, we're really happy with things. And, you know, when we want to grow more, we'll circle back to it. And it's like, again, it seems like a deprioritization of this huge meta lever that can really, and again, if they're not set up to grow, well, then that's totally different. You know, ignore what I'm saying. But if there's some reason that if there's some reasoning that, hey, we want more money in the bank account, you know, we think we can scale a little bit at a time, why not focus on the conversion rate optimization? That is a number one lever. It's probably not going to be extremely expensive. Now, it depends on the agency you work with and how much needs to be done, of course, but that ROI should be somewhat easy to, you know, at least extrapolate out.
And it's just a one-time thing that can significantly make an increase in your business. Let's just say your conversion rate's 1%. And it moves to 2%, you're literally doubling your revenue, halving your cost per acquisition. And there's a flow-on effect, because then when you get more sales, there's a probability that then people will buy more things and you've got a higher average order value. And I think people forget, because people spend so much money on ads, they're like, oh, let's optimize what I'm already spending. But they're not, because they're not really spending much on their website. They're like, well, why would I spend something on that I don't usually spend money on? It's like, that's more money for me. And it's like, it's not. It actually I've always seen advertising as an investment, because I've always been a direct response marketer or someone who's like, I'm always attributing my results to my work to results. I'm never like, oh, we got impressions or views or this many clicks. Never been that, never programmed. I've always been like, this is how much you've made from ads in actual dollars, in offline sales and online sales. So
Mhm.
I'm always thinking, I've purely seen it as this is an investment and you should be making more than you're spending by a multiple of whatever it is. But that's how I say it with the CRO. I would not be recommending for people or businesses to do conversion rate optimization or fix their website, do landing pages, if it didn't make them more money. Like, this is the stuff that makes you more money. Like, the things that make you more money: well managed Google ads, well managed Facebook ads, a landing page, or a very high converting website. And then that's for like e-commerce and lead generation. And then a really good salesperson. That's what makes you money. Everything else is kind of a bit of a waste.
Did you mention
Maybe some,
product development? Because that's
no,
definitely a big one.
but that's not going to make you more money in the short term. In the short term, come
I
on, mate. We're
disagree.
talking about that quick money. That quick money.
Product development can be a massive, massive, massive
Okay.
business changing lever in my
Okay.
experience. Yeah.
What's an
Yeah.
example? Because I think the clients I work with, they release new products, but
Mm-hmm.
go on.
Sure,
Like,
I had a client last year. We literally more than doubled new customer revenue just from a product redesign. Like that was the number one thing. Obviously, there was a lot of other work that was done, but
yeah,
if there was one incremental change, like one incremental change that we could say, man, that made a massive statistically significant shift, it was the product redesign.
interesting.
So
Now,
yeah,
I know
but it
we
make
avoid telling
yeah
our clients because we don't want people to be like clicking on their websites and fucking trying to funnel hack them.
yeah.
Do you have a, you don't have to, like, what was the industry and what was the product?
This is electronics,
Okay,
consumer
cool.
electronics. Yep. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. It's especially
Come on, give
important in a
us some more. I'm
competitive.
actually super curious. Consumer
It's
electronic. It was their own branded product. I presume it's their own original product, not a, they're not reselling it.
no, they're not resellers. Nope, it's
Yeah,
their own
yeah.
products, and it's a very competitive marketplace, which also plays into the impact that product design is going to have, right? Because
Golf
yeah,
machine? Was it a golf
it's
machine? I
just
bet it was a
it's
golf
just
machine.
common sense that that the product design is going to make a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Because it's entering a marketplace that may already be saturated. There's nothing like it. It's maybe a better price, maybe a better value than others are willing or have available in their inventory. So I just wanted to
It's
make
a
sure and
golf
throw that in
simulator. I
there.
bet $1 million
Definitely a
it's a
big
golf simulator.
golf
It's a
simulator.
golf simulator. Just tell me it's a golf simulator.
It's an arcade machine. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's not.
Oh,
But I have
really?
done that before. That was pretty fun.
That'd be
Yeah, these
sick.
guys sold arcade machines. It was
Mate,
super
there's a
fun.
lot of money in that. You
Oh
got to look
yeah.
at that, like that people who are like 50 plus got that white man rich money when they're just like trying to relive their youth. I'm not even 50 and I love
No,
that stuff.
yeah, like 10,000 plus AOVs and stuff. I
I
mean, yeah,
know.
they're
It's
great. And there's a lot of volume, believe it or not. But yeah.
and the
Anyway,
scarcity of product because like obviously people want the original one, not some like
yeah,
remade thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's a fantastic industry. So that was one of the ones I really enjoyed for sure. I just want to add real quick is I think that gets really because you had mentioned making more with CRO, but again, for the layman conversion rate optimization is what we're saying there. For CRO, you not always, sometimes you'll make a lot more, but you'll also sometimes save a lot more. And why does that happen? Well, essentially, if you think about Google Ads and the auctions, they tend to prioritize giving better cost per clicks, right? How much you're actually going to pay for that click in the search results. If you're in the auction there, someone clicks on it with quality score, right? So there is a factor here with ad ranking where expected click conversion rates, you might end up showing up in better auctions. Maybe the CPCs are higher, maybe they're less. Again, all depends on what Google decides from a quality score standpoint. You might end up actually paying less for every single click, which could eventually save you more money and give you some extra money to push volume even higher. So
Yeah.
you might even get that perfect combination of you're getting cheaper CPCs. The algorithm is recognizing that people are liking not just the engagement in terms of like they're liking the ad and engaging with the ad, but they're also converting. That is a great signal for it to go more aggressively into new auctions that might bring you more volume. So don't forget about the savings possibilities there as well.
Nice. We always like to save money. We like to make money and save money. Yeah, it's conversion
Yep.
rate's a very interesting thing because I still feel like most ad specialists don't talk about it. And when they do talk about it, they don't actually know what to talk about. They're like, oh, we need to increase the conversion rate. You're like, oh, really? Wow. What a profound insight.
A
But
B
when it comes
testing?
to
Oh, wow. Yeah.
A/B
So
testing, wow.
profound.
But the thing is, it comes down to the next level of the practicality of what specifically to like do conversion rate optimization on, because it's easy just to throw a tag word. It's like just saying, oh, let's just do Google Ads. That's a multi billion dollar solution because Google makes billions of dollars. And but it's the same with conversion rate optimization. You can just say, oh, we should like optimize the website, but what does that mean? Where's it granular? And that's when I think as specialists and I actually think if you don't know that stuff, you're probably already 5 years behind. Like I think knowing conversion rate optimization is very 5 years ago. As a like you should be good at that. Like not even baseline, you should be good at it because I think the new things coming out with advertising in terms of like the AI, the data analysis stuff that we're going really deep into, it's like that's the cutting edge now. But if you haven't even got your base Google Ads skills down, so maybe other ad channels and conversion rate optimization, how are you supposed to stay up to date with like the AI stuff and all these other like new technology advancements? Because that incorporates conversion rate optimization. That
Yeah.
incorporates like multi-channel approach and data analysis.
Yeah, I want to go back to the example of like the physical storefront, right? So kind of paint that visualization because I do think to your point, people don't talk about the specifics enough, but I also think going back to your original way back point, probably in a separate video if you're just watching this segment, which is on simplicity. I also think people probably to sell courses and just have new things to spit out into a feed, a social media feed for content, but overcomplication of the technicals right now. If you're a technical SEO and that's your game, okay, cool. I totally get it. And yeah, there's going to be incremental gains to be had with little 1% increases conversion rate, etc. But I think for most businesses, again, to paint that picture of the store, what is it going to be, Michael? It's going to be, is this like, I don't want to say pretty, but is it a good looking shot? Does it look it's not scary, right? Like you go in, is it welcoming? Is it a good vibe? Does it feel good? Like, is it, like you said, easy to find what you're looking for? Is everything well labeled? Is it busy? Is there a line out front? Because man, if there's a line, I just want to see what is it first.
Yeah.
Gets my attention. Then I want to stand in line if it looks interesting. What's the checkout process like, right? Do you accept Apple Pay? If not, like, come on, man, I didn't bring my wallet. I just got my phone. Do you look like trustworthy? Do you have like come off as shady as in terms of your salesperson? All of those things, it's easy, guys, to translate that into the changes on your site. Putting the ratings, like social proof. Have a little pop-up if that's relevant. You like that technology to show that someone in Idaho just bought this item or whatever it is. Show that you're stocked. It's not empty shelves, right? Make it navigationally easy to find what people are looking for. Obviously you want it to look good. You don't want it to be super slow. If the line is long, that might be great, but if it's super, like if the line takes hours, well, nobody's going to, in other words, site speed, right, guys? So these are all things to think about. Just intuit that, and you can obviously translate that to the technical side or pay someone to do that for you.
I would say even this, and those things are all level one, like the best ones, but the one above that, Corey, the one that's staring in plain sight that people always forget is what is a mobile experience? The data suggests and shows that 60 to 80% of traffic going to websites in general, but even from paid ads, is from mobile traffic. Mm-hmm. Websites are designed by designers on computers. They're reviewed by business owners on computers. They're like when ad specialists look at the website and run ads to it, it's on a computer. But the user is using a mobile phone. There is so many times that we make recommendations to clients just based on their mobile experience and everything changes because that's 80% of your traffic. So if you make changes based on 80% of the people coming through, the probability of success is going to be significantly higher than just making changes based on a desktop experience. People know mobile is important. They say mobile first, but they're not designing mobile first. They're not optimizing for mobile first. They're not reviewing it based on mobile first. Mobile is like for any industry. That's what's wild. B2B. Like people are on the go. They're on their phone. Like I'm on my computer all day, so I Google on my computer. But mobile experience, if you want the biggest CRO hackers, just like look at your website on your mobile. That's it. That would illuminate all the problems. and get other people to look at it and go, be critical. Why is this not? What do you think's not good? So all
Yeah,
those
and
things you mentioned, Corey, are like so vital. But
yeah.
underneath that umbrella of like most people are like the data suggests 60 to 80% of people are from mobile. You've got to make sure that even just that first level mobile experience is good. It's not even being
Yep.
like it's responsive, but it's just like it's been designed first for
Mhm.
mobile. Great.
Well, that brings up a point. I made a post about this maybe last year or so because I think a lot of people forget, especially business owners that, again, to your point, are mostly using their computers or laptops, whatever, to look at their sites. And development teams, if they're worth anything, they should be testing across multiple. There's plenty of ways to check for what
Bro,
the
they're
site
not.
looks like on
That's the
mobile,
thing, dude.
but
They
they
should
should
be,
be.
but they're
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
They're not. Never assuming this type of stuff. Now, for some reason, it's like, why is
yeah.
the dead obvious thing so like still so
Yeah,
blinding?
yeah. But it also brings up a point. That's what I was going to say about the post that I'd mentioned was there's a rise in people wanting to use dark mode. And if you're not familiar, dark mode is where instead of looking at this bright, like everything's white background, and you open the site, you're just like, everything's just,
Yeah,
especially if you're used to using dark mode or something. There's extensions for this. Dark Reader's a great one in Chrome if you like those. People are doing that, and they're doing it on their devices, right? When they're setting up their
so cool.
phones, they're just saying, "Hey, you know what? I'd rather do this." You're seeing it. Google's, putting that into their settings to make it easier for people to do that. There is more and more people that are going, "Man, I'm looking at screens all day, every day. I don't want it to be this bright white thing."
Yeah,
But then businesses forget to optimize their site for dark mode. So, like for me, I code a lot, so I'm always dark mode everything, right? Because I don't want to be looking. It's harder to look. No one's coding, and that's where there's lacking like a white background, unless you're using a text
yeah,
editor, and even then, it's probably going to be gray. But regardless, if I go to a site like that and my dark reader is off because I had to use something like BigQuery that doesn't work well with dark reader,
yeah,
which is ironic. I go to that, I was just like, oh no, all of a sudden, like it's not working. I'm just
yeah,
blinded, and then I can't or if I'm in dark mode and I'm using the extension and I'm on the site and I can't even like see the products because of the way the image format that they used, or some of
yeah.
the text is completely invisible because of the colors that they use. Make sure you're also optimizing that, because that is something that's very like, so if you want to be future focused, that is going to be more and more important as consumer interest in that rises. So don't forget.
Nice,
No.
beautiful. Okay, Corey,
Okay.
we've hit our time, mate.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
Jeez.
guys. We
Flies.
have to get on with our lives. So, Corey, how can people find you, mate?
Yeah, yeah. My website, adsbycory.com, YouTube, Spotify, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Michael?
Nice. Marketlead.com.au, MarketLead on YouTube, and Michael Nadalin on LinkedIn. Corey,
Beautiful.
awesome, mate. Great to see you. Great
Yes.
to chat. Hope you all enjoyed it. I know I did. And have a wonderful week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.